In this lesson, we're going to make an advertisement using Adobe Photoshop. We'll start with this photograph, add some text, and then fill the text with another picture. So let's start off. I'm going to grab the text tool from the toolbox. And since I have a bunch of fonts loaded up here, it'll take just a second to initialize. And I'm going to click where I'd like my text to begin. And I'll just start typing in. Oops. Type in my text. And the text will come in whatever size and style was last used. And just as luck would have it, it fits in here pretty good. But if it didn't, of course, we could use the text tool, click and drag across it so that it's selected. Go up to the options bar in the top of the screen, choose a different type style, different size, and so forth. But in this case, it came in just about right for me, so I think I'll leave it as is. I'm going to change to the Move tool, make sure it's in the position I want it to be in. Now, the color of the text really doesn't matter at this point because we're going to fill it with another picture. I already have another picture open up here, so I'll click on the tab for it. I'm going to fill my text with this picture of the sand. So I'm going to grab this picture by its tab up here in the top and tear it off to the side so that I can use my Move tool to drag and drop this from one window to the other. So I'm already in the Move tool. So I'm going to drag this into my project. And we'll move it into place. Now it's not quite big enough to cover my text, so I'm going to need to enlarge it. And to do that, I'll go to the Edit menu and choose Free Transform. When you choose Free Transform, it puts this box around your text, or around your picture rather. I'm going to grab the corner and start to scale this up. And I'm holding down the Shift button so it doesn't get distorted. Alright, that looks pretty good. Then I'll press Enter on the keyboard to apply that change. And make sure it's covering up my text completely. And that's one rule you have to remember. When you're filling your text with a picture, the picture has to be above the text that it's going to fill. So over here in the Layers panel, you'll see that that is indeed the case. The picture's on top of the text layer. And I'm going to double click on the name Layer 1 right here in my Layers panel and name this layer Sand. It's a good idea to name your layers as you go. So I've got these named, and now I'm going to create a special relationship between these two layers, and so that you can see this clearly, I'm going to zoom in just a bit. And what I'd like you to notice here is this line right here in between these two layers. I'm going to hold down the Alt button or the Option, depending on whether you're on a Windows or a Macintosh. And see how my cursor changes into these interlock circles when I do that? I'm going to click right on this line that divides the two layers with the Alt or the Option held down. So I'll click, and you'll see that this has changed a bit. So this layer goes with this layer now. So let me zoom back out and we'll take another look here. Now you can see here that the text is now filled with that layer that was above it. That whole Alt or Option click is what makes that happen. And since these are on their own layers, we can still take the Move tool and move them separate of each other. So I'm on the layer with the picture, so the picture is moving. If I were to go down to the Layers panel and click on the text layer, then the text would move. And of course, if we want them to move together, I could hold down the Shift button on the keyboard, then click on any other layers that I want included, and then they'll move together. Alright, so we've got our text filled with a picture now, and in order to make this really legible, we're going to add some special effects. And one of my favorite special effects is a drop shadow. So I've got my text layer selected, and I'm going to go down to the little FX button at the bottom of the Layers panel and choose Drop Shadow. Now we'll go up here and adjust the distance and the size, change the angle a little bit here. There, that looks pretty good. Very nice. And just to make it look even nicer, I'm going to go down here to Bevel and Emboss, click on that, and that gives it even more of a three-dimensional look. I'll click OK on this, and you'll see here in the Layers panel that the little FX symbol has been added to my text layer, along with the effects that have been added. If I want to make some changes to this, I would just simply go right here to this layer that's got the FX symbol on it, double click on the symbol, and it brings the panel back up so that we can make changes. So for example, I'm going to click on the drop shadow, make some changes, then click OK. So it stays live all the time. And as an added benefit, even with all these things that I've done to the text, we can still go to the text tool and select our text and make whatever changes are necessary. So it stays live all the time. And one other thing that I want to point out to you that you may or may not already know is that if I've got this text up here and it's selected, in addition to all the other things we can do in the options bar at the top, we've got this little warp button right here, which brings up the warp text box. And I think the most appropriate one for this picture would be Wave. So I've chosen Wave, and you can see it distorts the text. I'll make some adjustments here. Alright, that's looking good. I'll click OK, and then go back to the Move tool so I can see this, and you can see I've got a nice special effect here. So doing some nice advertising art in Photoshop is really easy, and I hope you enjoy it.